Greetings, Skill Incarnate bringing you all the latest indie gaming goodness. Welcome back as we check out another indie game. This time we're looking at Between Horizons. This game comes from the guys at Digitales who created the excellent Lacuna, a detective adventure. A game that ignited my love for the detective genre. So, when they reached out for me to cover their new game, I jumped at the opportunity. Between Horizons is once again a detective game. It takes place in the far future, with you acting as the head of security on board a colony ship headed to a new home. Now, along the way, you find that someone doesn't want you to arrive at your destination, and you need to unravel the mystery and uncover a conspiracy that comes within the ranks of your own ship. Now, this game takes everything I loved about Lacuna and it makes it even better. It's the quintessential detective game, while keeping the look and feel of the previous game that I loved. A mix of 2D and 3D graphics. Now, I really enjoyed the game, so we're going to check out the first part of the campaign and I'm going to let you know what my thoughts are. Let's take a look at Between Horizons.
I must have been 8 or 9 years old when I first realized that I would never witness the Zephyr's arrival. As a small child, I often imagined myself stepping foot on Eurus D, leaving the ship for the first time in my life. I didn't understand at the time that this was a privilege reserved for my grandchildren. I still remember the conversation I had with my father. He was uncomfortable about the whole thing, and I get it. People don't like talking about their children's mortality. Still, he made me feel better. He reminded me of the importance of our mission for the survival of mankind. We're the only egg in the second basket, he said, or something like that. The basket being Eurus D, a habitable planet just 4 light years away from Earth. And the egg, that's the roughly 1,300 people aboard the Zephyr. Everyone I'll ever know.
So the game begins with us on board the Zephyr, a colony ship that's headed for Euros, a planet that is at least 50 or 60 years of travel away. In fact, our main character Stella is probably going to be long dead by the time we arrive. Now, the game has several improvements upon the previous title. It mainly improves the tutorial and the UI and just the quality of life settings around the game. This game is far more accessible than what Lacuna was. I found myself struggling in the early game, and while I do love Lacuna, it's great to see that the developers have learned and used everything they had with the previous game to improve this one. So our dad is currently calling us. Stella, did you go to bed already? Now, Stella has a little bit of insomnia. In that case, do you have a few minutes? There's something I'd like to show you. You'll see, it's a surprise. I'll be right out. The other thing I really enjoy, apart from the quality of life improvements, is that they've kept the overall look and feel from the original game. The mix of 2D and 3D graphics just suits this game perfectly. So, similar to the notepad in Lacuna, we have a PDA which keeps all of the useful information that we find in our investigations, and we're going to be referring to this very often. Now, while I think that there's a little bit of information overload in the tutorial, I would rather this than the kind of floundering around if you're a newer player. So it is incredibly all-encompassing tutorial, and it does certainly do an excellent job of guiding you through the early game. Have a chat to our kitty. No. I know you're sick, but I have to go out for a bit, okay? I'll be back soon. Stay safe, buddy. Okay, so we have to head up to our father's office, and we have a map which is far more detailed than in Lacuna. It makes it very, very easy for you to navigate your way around the ship, and we're going to need this because it is a very large colony ship. The game also gives you limited access and increases the amount of the ship that you can explore over time as you need it.
I knew that Dad was worried about me. He'd noticed that I'd been sleeping a lot lately and virtually stopped socializing. I wasn't sure at the time what was wrong with me, but I found it harder and harder to get motivated.
Okay, we have to head, let's just open up our map. That's our dad's room, yep. We have to go up here. What is it that you want to show me? Our messages from Earth for Arrival Day celebrations came in earlier. Already? Arrival Day is weeks away. Yes, they send the messages in advance to make sure we have them in time. Earth has a surprise for us this year. What surprise? Everyone got a private message from their relatives. We got our own personal message from Mum. Can you believe it? Navigator Joseph already relayed it to me. Do you want to see it? Yes, of course. Here we go. So this part is only for my family, right? Okay, hi. I haven't prepared anything. They only just told me I could say something to you guys in private. How are you out there? I hope things are going better than they are on Earth. We've been having rolling blackouts again. I'm so worried they'll get in the way of the recording. So we can already see that something is wrong back on Earth, and for some reason that will become clear later on, our entire family didn't come with us. I wanted to say we've recently received the video you sent last year. I've never seen you in uniform before, Stella. Wow. And William, you look like you haven't aged a day. Still the handsome young man I met 40 years ago. Remember that night? We were on a ship of all places. What was it called? Something Sparrow. Or I'm mixing it up now. I'm so proud of both of you. This mission is such an incredible, enormous thing you're doing. Everyone on Earth is rooting for you. It's been so many years since you left and it still doesn't feel real. I hope these messages get to you. I worry about it every year. I don't know how they do it. It's all magic to me. You'll see more of me in the public video unless you watched that already. Happy Arrival Day. You say that, right? Love you both. That was it. Seems like they weren't given much time to record these. I'm just glad she had the opportunity at all. Is this going to be part of the yearly update from now on? I don't know. Maybe there's something about it, the other files. They just came in an hour ago. Don't tell anyone about it, okay? Everything okay? Something your mum said has me worried. What? There's no way she forgot the name of the ship where we met. I have to talk to the captain. About Mum? Not directly, it's complicated. This can't wait. Sorry, I'll explain later. What the? So, obviously they have their own style of communication, and she's given a secret message, and we're going to find more about that later on. I'm getting a call. What's going on tonight? Sergeant Aderick. Assistant Chief Stella, are you with your father? He just left. He wants to talk to the captain. Then maybe you could step in. Could you come talk to me at the security office? Sure, I'll be there in a minute. Are you suited up? I am. Why? You may need to look into something. I'll explain when you're here. So now we have access to some of our suit functions. and the scanning ability from Lacuna has returned. With this, we can find and highlight items of importance, and we can see some of them are just lore building and aren't related to a particular case, and some we're going to need to use to solve the various mysteries on the ship. Now, everything we find has an entry in our PDA. And in addition to solving cases, we can also find out more about what's going on with the ship. And that can sometimes help our investigations too, because we can start to get a bit of an idea of the people that live on the ship. Now, as we have a look here, we can see that we have some old pictures of our father and mother, and this is an important piece of information. This is the reason why our mother didn't come on the ship with us. She has a problem with her heart, and this means that she couldn't survive the trip in space, which is why our family is currently separated, which is reassuring in a way. As much as it's sad, the mother and father have a very good relationship. They didn't split because of divorce or because of family problems, it was just because of health issues. So now we've got a bit of an idea of what we need to do. Our next move is to head to the Office of Security and find out what the problem is on the ship. So we're going to head over to the security office. Again, we're going to pull our map out, and we can find the security office one floor down. So again, this is a great way that they've used the map and the quality of life improvements in the game. Navigating around Lacuna could sometimes be a bit tricky because you do have to, it does have a hub style world, and you do have to do a bit of backtracking from time to time. We're going to have to go this way. There's an elevator we can take up to the 4th floor. Now, one of the other things I love about the game is you can see that there's various things going on in the background. People are walking around, doing jobs. It feels like a living, breathing ship. Now here we can have a chat with some of the other security officers on the ship. Good evening, Sergeants. Assistant Chief. Hey, Stella. Paul, address her properly. Come on, Dad. Let's stick to protocol for now. Of course, my sincere apologies, Assistant Chief. We'll find out later. Her and Paul have a bit of a relationship going. Anyway, let's talk about the reason I called you. A door in the network area triggered a security alert. We've had some false reports due to defective sensors lately, so it might be nothing. However, I tried to check with programmer Aaron, who works down there, and he isn't answering his PDA. It's possible he's wearing noise protection, but we should make sure everything is all right. Could you take the elevator down to the inner hull and take a look? Of course. Should I ask an enforcer to come along? I don't think that's necessary. Programmer Aaron should be in the network office. Alright, I'll make sure he's okay and report back. So one of the things I like that they've moved across from Lacuna, in fact they've improved on from Lacuna, is the discussions you have with the various members on the ship. It actually records everything, so you can actually go back and have a look at your entire conversation word for word. Whereas Lacuna would put in dot points, this will actually record the entire conversation verbatim, and I find that's really handy. Okay, so I can't talk to these guys any further? No. So our next goal is to head down to the security area. So there is a lift on our right here. We can see we can take that down. To the basement. Because of course, being an IT guy, I know we always work in the basement. Something foul is afoot. What happened to the door? So we can see there's a broken door here. There's a network office. Here's the servers. And here's some data terminals where you can gather these evidences from the different terminals. These will become useful later on. I'm grabbing these because this information is going to be crucial for our investigation. Programmer Aaron. Are you alright? Oh. Aaron, what's wrong? What happened? My head hurts so bad. It's bruised in the back. Can you move? It is? Ouch. What happened? I think someone was here. You think? You just got clocked on the back of the head. Someone was here? What do you mean? I went to the cafeteria for my evening break, but I returned a little earlier than usual. I'd been working on a new data routing algorithm today and I had an idea I didn't want to forget. When I came back, the door to the network area was broken. I wanted to check if everything was alright in my office, and when I came in here, there was someone standing next to my desk. Who? I don't know, I think. A man. He was wearing a disguise. I turned to run back out, but he jumped me. He hit my head with something, that's all I remember. Give me a second, I'll get help. Dad, something happened down here. Aaron was attacked. Attacked? How's he doing? He seems okay, but his head is bruised. I'll send a medical team. Who attacked him? I don't know, he said the person was disguised. Seems they broke into the network area. The door at the entrance has been cracked open. Inform Sergeant Adaric and I'll join you as soon as I can. Do you have your weapon on you? Yeah, I do. Good, I'll be there in a few minutes, okay? In the meantime, you should have a look around and talk to Programmer Aaron. Maybe you can find out what the intruder wanted in the network area. Okay. Watch your back, I'll be there soon. Okay, good thing she stayed strapped. We may have to use it. Now, we can already see there's an item on the floor here. This device on the floor looks out of place. Maybe Programmer Aaron can tell me more about it. I should show it to him. So we found a clue. Nothing else here of any interest. I'd like to ask you a few questions. What did the intruder want? I haven't had much time to think about it yet, but since we're in the network area, I'd wager a guess and say it's something network related. I can take a look around and see if I notice anything unusual. No, you should take it easy until the medical team is here. I'll investigate the rooms and let you know if I find anything. Thank you. What do I find in this area? The various ship networks can be monitored from here. You can access them via the terminals next door, but only if you have access rights on my special tool. I see. That's all. So let's ask him about the tool we found. Do you know what this is? That's one of my tools. Where did you find this? Next to the door to the network access point. I definitely didn't put it there. So you think the tool could have been used by the intruder? I'm sure. You needed to access and manipulate the data on the terminals in the network access point. So that's probably what they wanted in here. Is there a way to find out what they did exactly? It would be a good start if we knew which network they manipulated. I'll grant you access to the terminals. Thank you. What can I see on those screens? Each terminal shows a visualization of data that was sent through the respective network over the past 24 hours. Farad created a visualization a while back to make it readable for non-technical users. The left side is data being sent and the right side is data being received. If a network was manipulated, there should be some irregularity on one of the terminals. I'll take a look. So what we have to do to find a case solution is to get the piece of evidence that incriminates the culprit or tells us what's happened. Now, one of the things that is the case, same with Lacuna, is that once you submit your findings, that's it. If you get it wrong, you get it wrong, and you have to deal with the consequences. Now, what we know from the advice we've been given is that the evidence here, we'll have to rescan the terminals actually, because we don't have access to this yet. So let's go back and do that. Excellent. So now that we have access, beautiful, we have the data. So let's go and scan these a second time. Okay, so now we've rescanned with our elevated access thanks to our friend Aaron. We now have the data. Now, one important piece of information, and you do have to be very detail oriented in these games, is that the data on the left and the right side needs to be the same. Now, we don't know how many of these dots and dashes equal a square, but by a little bit of common sense we can figure it out. Now, this should equal 2 of these dots. And if we have a look at this, that equals 2 dashes, and this equals 1 dash. So this does look different. This is a contender. This is another contender. Because how come 4 of these equal this, and then 2 of these equal this, and one dash? So what I'm looking at here, I'm making an educated guess and saying that going by this data here, 1 square equals two dots, or 2 dashes. And this is different here. 1 equals 4 of those. And this equals 2. It's strange. Now this is the one I think might be different, because two of these equals 4 of those. That doesn't sound right to me. This equals, I mean, obviously this is the same, and this equals 2. So if 2 of these equal 4 of those, and 2 of these equal 1 of those, this seems out. This seems the most obvious. 2 of those equals that. I mean, we need to find the one that's the most obvious. I mean, this one seems to me to be the one that's out. So let's not be too hasty. We only get one shot at this. Let's show him. So what exactly do I see on those terminals? A visualization of data that was sent and received. The amount of data on the left should always be equal to the received amount on the right. The terminals are intended for monitoring only, but it is theoretically possible to add or remove data. If a manipulation like that took place, the amount of data on the left and the right won't match up. How about this specific one? Do you see anything off with it? There might be, but I had to study it closely. Just one more question, and this is the part that's got me. They all look different on the left and the right. So I suppose the square represents multiples of the lines. That's correct, but I couldn't tell you how many. Farad looks at these things daily, but it's been a while since I had looked myself. Okay, let's take one last look. 1 square equals 2 in this example. Because 2 of these equals 1 of those. 2 of these equals 2 of those. And 1 and 1. Here, 2 of these equals 1 of those. So that looks out. But it's not a matter of finding the one that's out. It's a matter of finding the one that's the most wrong. Two of those equals 1 of those. 2 of those equals 1 of those. See, that doesn't look right either. But I mean, this jumps out to me to be the most. Because look, you've got 2 of these equals 4 of those. How is that the same? That's obviously wrong. Because the data on the left, if we have a look at this square could be any number of these lines, right? We could be wrong about that. But when we look at this, 2, how does 2 equal 4? And how does this equal this, and that equal 2? Because we know that 2 equals 4 of these on the right. 2 of these, I mean, this one jumps out to me to be the most wrong. So I guess we'll find out. I mean, I hope I'm right. Although this could be wrong too. Now, the last time I did it is randomized, so the last time it was really obvious. I just want to be really careful about what I select. I mean, it's a toss-up between this and this. And it's hard to tell. It is hard to tell. But I think it's this one. Because 4 of those equals 1 square. 5 of those equals 2 squares. Nothing's consistent here. I hope I'm right. We'll find out. Everything okay? Programmer Aaron, how do you feel? I'll get myself checked out to be sure. I found out what the intruder was up to. He manipulated one of the ship networks. Good job. I think I even know which one. Could you have a look, Programmer Aaron? Of course. I don't see it. Oh, I got that wrong. Which network do you think it is? I'd have to take a closer look at myself. I'm sorry. Maybe I misunderstood the data. Listen, actually, I came out to tell you something else. I've been thinking about what the intruder's plan was exactly. The terminals in the access point only contain very recent information flowing from each network to our central server. If the guy was after recent data, he could have accessed it right there using my tool, but he may have injected malware instead. The terminals are connected to the big servers down the hall for regular backups. Maybe his plan was to exploit this connection. For what purpose? I can only assume to override access rights so he can extract historical data from there. Would he have to physically go there to do that? Correct. Follow me now. Okay, so we got to get to the servers. He's trying to grab the data. Unfortunately, I made a bit of a mistake there. I hope that my error won't cause further problems. But I mean, that's the thing about this game. Sometimes you get things wrong. And it doesn't matter if you do, because if you do get it wrong, you can come back on a subsequent playthrough and get a different ending for the game, because there's multiple endings for this game. Let's go. And sometimes, some of the puzzles in the original Lacuna, I messed up too. Enough. One more step and I'll shoot. I'll lie down flat on the ground now. Oh dear. He thinks Dad may not have been fast enough. We're lucky because that container missed our head by about 1 millimeter. What happened? The door is crushing me. What can I do? Why is it closing? They're sealing up. There must have been a breach. Where is the override? I don't think there is one. What should I do? What should I do? Stella, listen to me. Sparrow was our code word. What are you talking about? Liz tried to say something's wrong. Where is the override, Dad? Dad? Dad! And his body will be returned to the ship. He will stay with us until all of our journey ends. On a more personal note, I want to say that William was not only the best chief of security I could have ever wished for, but also a dear friend. I did not expect him to go before me, and I was not prepared for it. I don't think I could have been. I would like to take this opportunity to put any rumours to rest. William's death was a deeply unfortunate combination of circumstances. He was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Now we know that is complete fabrication. He may not have been directly killed by that person on the ship, but his death was not an accident. Someone triggered that door. A cargo box came loose due to a malfunction and pierced a hole in the floor of the inner hull. Air began to stream out of the vacuum of the outer hull. The resulting loss of air pressure caused the emergency doors to shut. Thanks to the swift intervention of our brave mechanics, the breach could be contained shortly thereafter. However,
I kept staring at the notes for my speech, even though I wasn't reading a word of it. We had agreed to frame my father's death as an unfortunate accident, to keep the intruder a secret in the name of public peace and safety. It was our highest imperative. If there was a person between the ship's population and their safety, they would get crushed by design. There was no security override to save the individual. In a way, this concept made sense to me. It had to. After all, I was the chief of security now.
what an epic open to the game. We started off with a mystery that has now claimed the life of our father and forced us to step into his shoes. We know that there's someone on the ship, at least one person, that is trying to undermine our journey. And we're no closer to the solution. Now, I did make a mistake in the investigation with the data, but thankfully we are able to go back to the programmer and have a bit of a look and try and figure it out. Later in the game, if you do make mistakes, you will drastically alter the outcome of the campaign, and that's something I really like. I played Lacuna through twice and I got two completely different endings, going back and seeing the mistakes I made and making a different call in the different investigations, and the same is the case here. So it really is a fantastic game that has improved upon the previous game in every way possible. It has a fantastic opening and it's really sucked me in to play the rest of the game. And if you would like to see more, I know I have a lot of budding detectives amongst my viewers, and that's why I wanted to show you this game. I thought you would love it. Let me know, leave me a comment, leave me a like, leave me a subscribe, and we may do a part 2. I wanted to give a massive thank you to the guys at Digitales. If not for them, I never would have found my interest in these sorts of games. I would have overlooked them, and that would have been a real shame. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what they're going to do in future. Go and check them out. They're a fantastic developer who's very supportive of little guys like me, and hopefully you'll join me next time when we check out another indie game. Until then, Skill Incarnate, out.